Welcome to tonight's License Subcommittee meeting. My name is Councillor Mercy Ume, and I'll be chairing tonight's meeting. The meeting is being broadcast live on Council's YouTube channel. If I lose connection, Councillor Wesley Hackett will take over for me. I would like to remind all participants of a few housekeeping points. Please keep your microphone muted unless you are speaking. Please keep your camera turned on when you speak at the hearing. Please note that the chat function has been disabled. If parties wish to add any additional information other than the allocated time to speak, they must use raise hand function so that they are not missed. I also ask that members keep their questions and comments brief to the point. I move to item 1 on agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence. None was received. Item 2, declaration of interest. Do members have any declaration of interest?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Item 3, Shannon Local, 51 Fulham Broadway, London SW6 1AE. I would like to ask everyone participating to introduce yourself as I call on you. And I'll be calling your first name. We should have with us Mr. Prakhammer. I'm sorry if I can't, the applicant.
Yes, hi, Chair. This is Prabhakaran Shanmugaratnam, and yeah, I'm present.
Okay. We have Louise.
Good evening, Chair. Present.
Thank you. We have Adrian, the licensing team manager.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. Present.
Thank you. We have Lorna, licensing officer.
Thank you, Chair. Here, present.
We have Emmanuel, the council's legal officer.
Present, Chair.
Thank you. We have objecting, which is Charlotte Dexter, Morel resident. Charlotte?
Yes, Charlotte Dexter.
Okay. Procedure. Before we consider this application today, please, may I quickly explain the procedure the committee will follow. We will hear from the following. The licensing officer will introduce the application, the objector, finally the applicant. Usually, each party will address the committee for a maximum of 5 minutes. Following the presentation by all parties, the committee may ask questions of any party or other person present at the hearing. Except the committee members, no party has the right to ask questions to any other party at any time during the hearing. Following the presentation and questioning, each party will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to sum up their case or representation. The committee will then retire for deliberation. Upon its return, I will announce committee's decision. Can I have the licensing officer, Lorna, to introduce the application?
Yes, Chair. So on the 3rd of May 2024, the Licensing Authority received an application for a new premises licence in respect of the premises known as Sham Local 51 Fulham Broadway, London, SW6 1AE, submitted by Mr. Prabhakaran Shanmugaratnam. The applicant has applied for a new premises licence for the sale of alcohol off the premises only, and they've applied for the sale of alcohol off the premises Mondays to Sundays between the hours of 10 AM to 11 PM. And the proposed opening hours for the premises is Monday to Sundays between the hours of 8 AM till 2 AM. The applicant has proposed a number of steps to promote the 4 licensing objectives if the application is granted. And there was previously a premises license granted for a time-limited time, which expired on the 30th of April 2024, and the applicant is applying under the same conditions as the previous premises license, which is all detailed in the main agenda. During the consultation period, the licensing section received 2 representations objecting to the license application, and following mediation, 1 representation has been withdrawn. Remains 1 representation remains valid. Further to the main agenda, supplementary agenda item B, which contained additional information from the objector, was published and circulated to all parties on the 23rd of September 2024. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Can I have Charlotte, 5 minutes, Charlotte, you have to present your case.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'd like to start with some good news. The good news is that I, Charlotte Dexter, stand corrected. The various health and safety and public safety requirements that the council asked for back in 2021 and 2022 have finally been implemented by the applicant. So we thank him for that. And that's good news. And it's one small step for the Fulham Broadway area. Our big concern tonight is, however, ongoing adverse enforcement history. The applicant promised the committee last February 23 that things would be different once he received the license. I call your attention to page 9 of the supplemental agenda, item 3A, where it states in point 16 that the applicant stated he would take control of the business as a license holder and designated premises supervisor, and that he would be responsible for compliance and of the licensable activities going forward. The committee had many concerns during that hearing. I was at that hearing, and they refused his application. That was February 23. Fast forward to a temporary license finally granted at appeal or through the appeal process. And we have the situation all over again with a breach of conditions of hours of alcohol sales on the 17th of April, very much in contrast to what the applicant promised the committee, and I would say promised the community. This should never, ever have happened. The applicant just can't seem to understand or get his people in the shop to understand how serious this is. A breach of a condition is a crime under the 2003 Licensing Act. I hope that the applicant has looked at the supplementary agenda on the bottom of the page 4, where I've actually outlined what a crime is under the Licensing Act, because I don't really think the applicant understands that, but I'm sure he'll be discussing that with you. I've stated that the just a minute, sorry for the text being read. Yeah, I also would like to say that this breach is so serious because the police and the licensing authority just don't have the time to spend and the money to spend going in and doing ongoing constant spot checks with such regularity that a premises license holder is scared that, any minute they might be coming around the corner. That's just not how the law works. It's a very soft touch law. The word soft touch phrase is used in the law, and it's all about people upholding the objectives and being good citizens at the end of the day. And either you uphold those and you make sure these kind of breaches never happen, or you don't. And that's why I'm here tonight again, because it's so disappointing that someone who promised us so many things has breached his promises. And it's difficult for the community. It's difficult for Fulham Broadway, which has a lot of problems right now with licensed premises, and the licensing authority and the police are overburdened with these very major problems, which I outlined in things that I wrote for tonight. So I'd like to just say that the applicant has proven that he cannot manage the sale of alcohol appropriately. That's it. That's why I ask you to, on behalf of the community, reject the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Can we have the applicant, Lois? And it's 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening, everybody.
I think does your solicitor want to speak on your behalf?
I'll be starting, Chair. If there are specific questions for the applicant, obviously he will be best placed to answer them.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. In summary, and with only 5 minutes, which I think is very wise, we have the objection from Mrs. Dexter. Sorry, Mrs. Dexter, if you're on miss, I'm unaware. I will raise one procedural point first and foremost. Her objection references "we" rights. We, residents of Berkeley Road.
Yeah, that's correct.
Her email comes from the Berkeley Road residents. I have not seen procedurally, and your lawyer might want to advise as to whether or not we should have seen who the objector is. Is it a formal residents group? If so, has that been confirmed and validated by the local authority? Who are members of this group? If they should choose to appeal any decision coming out of this, who would be responsible for that appeal? We seem to have an informal reference to a residents group. That is a procedural matter. It is nothing to do with the merits of the objection. I'm not suggesting that it is. But from the other side of this, I would need to know who is involved in this objection, whether it is Miss or Mrs. Dexter. My apologies again, Mrs. Dexter, if that's incorrect. Or whether it is a group of people who are identifiable and who have been demonstrated to be identifiable to the local authority. I'm sure we can deal with that later, and it's not a more pressing issue. Having gone through the objection that Ms. Dexter has made to the local authority, there are various references to matters that are nothing to do with the licensing objectives. An objection for court costs owed by a wholly different party is nothing to do with the licensing objectives or the applicant's ability to uphold, comply, promote those licensing objectives. In the year that the temporary license that was awarded previously was in place, there had been one enforcement issue on the 17th of April, as Mrs. Dexter stated. However, the local authority dealt with that issue by way of a warning. Mrs. Dexter referenced the sale of alcohol outside of licensable hours. There was no sale. There was no sale reported. There was no sale witnessed. There was no sale. The issue at hand here is that a staff member was restocking the fridge after he had cleaned it. There is no evidence of a sale. No sale took place. In a previous visit in March of this year, when the licensing officers attended the premises, the staff member, and it might well have been the same one, you might want to check with the applicant, went out of their way to explain to the officer at the time that no sale could take place, and no sale could take place because the DPS, the personal license holder, wasn't present at the premises. The staff at this premises and the applicant have gone above and beyond. This is one of the most fully conditioned licenses, and with good reason, because of the history, and as Ms. Dexter says, those concerns the committee and the community had previously. Those conditions have been upheld. There had been a warning, and that was a procedural issue. That was not a whole breach of condition or the license. As Ms. Dexter points out, that would be a serious issue and a criminal issue, as she states, and would not be dealt with by way of a warning by experienced officers of the local authority. Chair, if you'd indulge me, I've been before you before, and I've dealt with Hammersmith and Fulham, and I don't feel that the police or the licensing officers or trading standards officers are overburdened. I think that they do an ample job of policing and overseeing the licensed premises, and the conditions that they apply to these premises are fair and reasonable and wholly represent the requirements that the local community need for everybody to ensure that those licensing objectives are adhered to, and there is prevention of crime and disorder, and there is safeguarding of children and vulnerable people. There is no evidence whatsoever that the applicant in this matter has breached the licensing conditions applied to his previous license in any way, egregious or not. There is no evidence that during the time that he was licensed, he did not uphold and promote the four licensing objectives. And indeed, in doing so, upon receipt of the license, there was a good period of time, and Chair, you'll have to check with him exactly, but in my notes I had 3 months, where despite having the license, he removed himself as DPS and they undertook no licensable activities. because there was a requirement, one of the promises that the objector refers to, that training for staff would take place. Such training takes some time to organise. Personal licence courses UK do some in-house, and the staff members actually undertook a training course with trading standards, which is done on behalf of the local authority by Mr. Doug Love. Again, the applicant might be able to give you specific dates as to that. He couldn't come to the emails previously when I was discussing it with him. We would ask that the licence is granted on the basis that the temporary licence was clearly wholly a success. One warning in the space of a year on a condition licence with a member of staff who was cleaning and restocking the fridge would not, in our submission.
I think I have to stop you. Your 5 minutes is over.
Thank you very much. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Committee questions. Can I ask each committee member to ask question of any party about the application and issues that has been raised at the hearing relating to for licensing objective, the prevention of crime and order, the public safety, prevention of public nuisance, protection of children from harm. Okay, now, our officer, committee members, any question from you? Okay, Councillor Dominic, something.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to those who've spoken already. I only have a couple of questions, I think. The first of these is to licensing, so I think to Adrian probably. How many visits during the period of the temporary license were actually made? But by which I mean, you know, the secret shopper type visits.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, there were 3 visits made during that period. As Mr. Schelling said, the first of those visits was in March 2024, and no sale was made. And then there was obviously the visit on the 17th of April, where alcohol was found to be displayed. And then there was a follow-up visit on the 24th of April, where there were no breaches of the licence identified.
Thank you.
3 visits in total.
Can you expand on what this breach was on the 17th of April? Because I'm not really sure that I understand.
So yes, alcohol was displayed, and it was thought that alcohol was displayed potentially for sale. So there was no actual sale of alcohol, but that alcohol was out on display. There are normally shutters in the premises that are moved down when Chelsea football matches are taking place. I believe the condition says that 3 hours before a match and 3 hours after a match, that alcohol should not be on display. So those shutters are brought down at the relevant times. And when the officer visited, those shutters weren't properly down for the period. But as I said, there was no sale, from what I understand, that was actually made at that time.
Fine. Okay. So it really, so it's a technicality that the alcohol was on display at a time it shouldn't have been on display, but it wasn't actually on display. It was because the fridge was being restocked. Have I understood that correctly? So it wasn't for sale. It wasn't displayed for sale. It was visible.
It was visible, but what I would say is it was a breach of the condition. You know, the condition is worded in such a way, and I think it's fair to say Ms. Dexter is correct, and any breach of a condition is a criminal offence. But obviously, we have to be pragmatic about that. We can't prosecute for every time there is a breach of condition. So we decided that a warning letter would be appropriate in those circumstances, and we decided to recheck it again in a couple of weeks, and we did, and everything was fine when we rechecked.
Fine, thank you. I mean, presumably the time you rechecked was a similar, like 3 hours before or after a Chelsea match, or out of the hours, or I mean, it wasn't at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, for instance.
I would have to come back to you on that. Actually, I haven't got the time for that, but I can have a look into that and come back to you later on. Just to confirm.
The reason I say that, is, if it was 1 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, then the same activity that was taking place when there was a breach would not at that time have been a breach.
No.
So if you could check that, I would be grateful. Thank you. My next question then is actually to the applicant. May I call you Prabha? Is that's
yes.
The name? Sorry,
yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Prabha. Just a couple of questions, really. and it just sorry, it's regarding the kind of the day-to-day management of the business and your involvement. So really, my questions are: who's responsible for the day-to-day running of the store? How many staff do you currently have? And how many of them are present at any one time? And also, roughly in a week, what is your personal time input?
So the business is run with myself and my brother, with me being a DPS. We have 3 members of staff that are part of the team, with 2 of us being the license holders. And my involvement is predominantly in a week, maybe 30%, 40%, just in terms of stock and cash and carry and accounting and all of these things.
And how much of that time would you actually spend in the store, kind of front of house?
I would say roughly the same, but most of the time, if we don't have somebody with the license certificate, then we don't sell alcohol. As for example, the visit on March the 20th verified. An officer came and just checked, and the member of staff present said, look, we don't sell alcohol if we don't have a licensed person. And again, the same thing happened, I believe, in the latest visit of that as well.
Mr. Stanton, sorry to interrupt. Just to clarify what Prabha means there, I'm sure you're aware that he's referencing a personal license rather than a premises license. Just so we get our terminology.
Yeah, no, I've understood that. Thank you.
I'm sure you understand. Sorry, just so I've made the point.
That's fine. That's fine. You'll all be very happy to hear that ends my line of questioning, Chair. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay. Thank you, Councillor Wesley.
Thank you, Chair. I think Councillor Stanton's covered most of the points I wanted to make. Can I just clarify? Both you, Prabha, both you and your brother are licence holders?
No, just myself.
Just you?
Yeah.
So, what if you're only there sort of 30% of the time? What happens at the rest of the time? There's no licence.
We have another person that has a licence, so he would then come in.
There's a second licence holder.
There was 2 licence holders, yes.
Yeah, no, that just wasn't clear, and I wasn't sure about that. That was that. What else? There's one other thing. In terms of the training, could you just tell me a little bit, because training was one of the issues that came up previously, I gather. Could you just tell me a little bit about the training that everybody's done? And I think that was alluded to by Mr. Sterling as well, about the training and time taken to get on courses and such like.
I think prior to the 1-year licence being provided, we had a few sessions with the trading standards from the council's team. I myself also attended the managerial training of that. So all the 4 objectives of the licensing objectives and all of these things, how to check ID, type of language to use, how to de-escalate potential situations and all of these things. So that was really thorough. It was about 3-hour sessions. And I've also received communication again from Doug Love on that for a follow-up session that's potentially been arranged. But I did say to him, look, at the moment we're going through an application process and we'll come back to him. But there is regular interactions with Mr. Love, where we try and participate, and he shares with us potential dates. Also, we also liaise with an external consultancy called G2 Licensing as well. So, my apologies, my daughter's here. Can you please go to the other room? Okay, I'll give it to you. Go inside. So yes, I think, but I think one thing I would like to stress is, in terms of training, in terms of making sure the right people are equipped, is something that we do take seriously. For example, we were given a license in August, and I felt, okay, we've got the license, but I didn't go out and rush away and say, look, no, we've got the license, let's start, selling alcohol. To a calm, measured, pragmatic approach to say, look, we need to to put the right things in place, bring the right people in, to ultimately ensure that we were in the right frame to carry out these conditions. So until then, we actually put all activities on hold, even though we had the license to go and sell alcohol. And then we resumed activities again in January, where I then reinstalled myself as the DPS. And one of the strictest things that we ensure is if there isn't somebody with a relevant certification or license, no alcohol will be sold. Whether it's, if I'm not there or somebody else is not there, then we shut up shop. No questions asked. And that's been enforced for a while now, as, for example, the March 20th visit stated.
Okay, thanks very much. One final question, that's to the licensing authority. Have there been any complaints that you're aware of over the last year about this premises?
I believe that Miss Dexter has made a complaint about the premises, but I'm not aware of any other complaints about the premises, Councillor.
And that complaint was separate to the representation made as part of this application, I take it?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And what do you remember what the nature of that complaint was? Or perhaps I should ask her. Perhaps I should ask Charlotte Dexter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte Dexter, could you? Yeah. What was the nature of that complaint?
No, I mean, I'm not sure I put the complaint in writing, but I had a conversation with Adrian Overton about there was confusion about the DPS, and suddenly the DPS wasn't the DPS or something. There was some confusion about that, and there was some concern from the Samuel Lewis estate about girls going into. I mean, it was, there were just different concerns, and I discussed those with him. I didn't take it further, let's put it that way, because it was quite confusing. I don't think I understood. I still don't understand. The license came into force in August of last year. It ended in April. He didn't apply to continue the license, perhaps because he wanted to have another break, so it was a new application again. I mean, those are the kind of things that we're trying to understand as residents.
I see. Okay, thank you. That's it all. That's all from me, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor. I think most of my questions has almost been asked. To our officers, in terms of training, how many has Mr. Preba taken any training? Because last time we had the meeting with him, he promised to attend all the trainings, promised to change the shop. All those things he promised, were they met? All the promises that he made, were they all met? That's my question.
Yes, we've conducted training. I've got certification of my attendance and all of these things, so that's not a problem.
Okay, since you did all the training, so what happened? Why do we have that breaching? Why was that on the 17th that breaching was done? Knowing that you have the shop has done that in the past, I know I shouldn't be bringing it. So you did that training. The training is to help you and to help your staff in terms of not breaching. So, but what happened there? What changed?
There was no sale of alcohol, first thing.
But it shouldn't be displayed.
It wasn't displayed. So which we clearly have done and showed. For example, in the first inspection, it wasn't displayed. And we explained to the councillor or whoever came in, said, look, there's nobody here that's got the relevant license. That's why everything's shut. I also believe there was something lost in translation. And I spoke to the person that did come in that day, where the staff, I think after the conversation, felt that they could still
carry out some cleaning activities or carry out some activities without the license being there, apart from selling the alcohol. So, for example, cleaning things, restocking, and all these things, because we're still waiting for the license holder to come into the office. So while that's happening, it's just general shop activities, cleaning, restocking, all of those things. But no sale of alcohol took place. However, warning was given, and again, we've gone back to the same process that we did in the past. So when another inspection came, there was no sale of alcohol and there was no display of alcohol. So I'm pretty confident that we can continue that way, and that it's not something that the team or I'm not aware of, and it's something that we have been taking very seriously as well. So, which we've clearly shown. From my perspective, the 4 licensing objectives have not been breached or have not been broken. There has been no public nuisance, or there has no been engagement to the public. There's been no, safety hazards for the children or anything like that. So from my perspective, we are actually being quite strict and managing this process quite well.
Remember that last time you promised to be there more than 30%. You said now you promised to be there more often than you.
I don't think I made those kind of promises, Councillor. I mean, look, I have to, I don't think I made those kind of promises. Promises that I made included things like working closely with the council. So, for example, environmental, health and safety, trading standards, working with the police, working with conditions that you felt were strong enough. For example, Miss Dexter wanted cashless payments. We do not accept cash for anything. So in terms of promises, like, okay, we'll take that into consideration, we'll put those as conditions. So working closely with yourselves, taking into account everybody's concerns. Those were the promises I made. I didn't make any promises in terms of my attendance, in terms of when and how I should be at the business, 80% or 90% of the time or anything like that. That's how I feel anyway. So I hope that answers your question.
It did, but not really what I expected. I must be honest here, because I remember you last time promising to do up the shop and to do this and to do that, and none of them. Most of them.
We in terms of doing up the shop, we have invested. We have cleaned up the area. We have put in new window frames. We've put in new doors, make it easy access. So all of these things have been done. We've also invested in fire, health and safety equipment as well. And that was part of the processes and promises that were made in terms of improving accessibility and all of these things. So from my end, I feel that, there have been improvements made to the shop. There have been improvements made to making sure we fulfill those conditions. And of course, we will continue to keep improving the shop and improving the business, because that's the nature of what we want to do as a business.
Okay. Any more questions from committee members? Okay, we go to sum up.
Can I just ask a question? Adrian, if I could just ask, what condition was in question on the 17th of April?
I'd have to get the condition number on that one, Emmanuel, so just bear with me. I had to, just going back to Councillor Banting's point though, but just on the 24th, there wasn't actually a football match taking place on that occasion, but when the officers visited, they didn't witness any breach of conditions. But I can get you the number of that condition in a second, if you'll bear with me.
And just a quick question, Adrian, if you don't mind. On the 17th, was there a football match? Was it a men's football match or women's team? Because I believe the conditions are related more to the men's game.
It was a women's football match, but no, it doesn't actually specify the condition when I can find it. I know it doesn't say a men's football match. It just says when Chelsea Football Club are playing at home. So it does, and that may, but I don't want to, put words in your mouth, but that may well have been the misunderstanding of the condition, because it just says when, and there was a Chelsea football match on, it wasn't a men's match, and the condition wasn't being complied with, in our opinion. And the premises was open for business. An officer went in, and there was still alcohol on display. So hence why that warning letter was given.
Please, can I remind people not to ask questions to any person on this? The questions goes from committee members. Thank you.
I apologize. Thank you, Chair.
Emmanuel, has your question been answered? Are we still waiting?
Chair, you can proceed with summary. I think Adrian is just finding out. So
okay.
I think if I can, Chair, I think I may have got that now. I think it's condition 20, condition 29. There's a couple of conditions about Chelsea football matches, and 29 is the one about any football match taking place 3 hours before, 3 hours after, and then condition 30 is when any cup final is taking place that alcohol shouldn't be sold at a place 3 hours before, 3 hours after. So yeah, it's 29.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No worries.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask for sum up? In summing up, can we have the licensing officer?
Nothing further to add, Chair.
You have 3 minutes. You have none. Okay, Charlotte. Emmanuel, I know that Mr. Stalin did ask something about Charlotte in terms of who she's representing. And could you explain, and is he or Adrian, can anyone explain why Charlotte is here so that it makes everything much clearer?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know Miss Dexter is representing the Berkeley Road Residents Association. The answer is I don't have information on the complete makeup of that Residents Association to hand. That's something that we could find afterwards. I don't know whether Miss Dexter is able to send us an email as well afterwards, maybe just confirming exactly who is part of the Residents Association, just so we can have an updated copy of that. And I can try and see if I can find the original information that was sent over to us as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, in that case, can we have Charlotte? I have 3 minutes.
Yes, yeah. So again, sorry, apologies about this definition of what was going on that breach. I've read it now differently than I read it before. I hope the committee can figure out for everybody why they're only selling alcohol 30% or less of the time, because that was a big point that was made in applying for the license that he had. So, I mean, I'm a bit confused about that. And I also am confused about why all of his employees just don't do the training and take the test and get a personal license so that more alcohol, here I am saying so more alcohol could be sold, but it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If he has a license until 2300, and a lot of the time supposedly they're not selling any alcohol. I mean, I'm not aware of that. I mean, I know people that go in there and buy alcohol. Nobody's ever said to me what I've heard tonight about, sending people away. So, I mean, I don't know if they shutter if they're not going to sell alcohol, then do they need a condition? Would it be no, that's a question. Sorry. Perhaps it's appropriate to have a condition that they have to shutter if they have nobody to sell alcohol properly. I'm a bit confused at this point, but anyway, I'll leave it up to the wisdom of the committee. I'm here on behalf of the Berkeley Road residents and the Berkeley Road Conservation Area Neighborhood Watch, which is a MOPAC recognized group. Because we're here at a lot of these hearings that have to do with Fulham Broadway, because we're very concerned about Fulham Broadway and who the premises license holders are and what they're doing to uphold the act or create further confusion and problems. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sterling, you have 3 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify one thing, I don't think the applicant has stated that they only sell alcohol 30% of the time. There are 2 personal license holders available to the premises at any one time. Alcohol sales quite clearly make up a large part of their trading business. And that, I think, was made quite clear when Mr. Rackham was answering those questions. Yes, on the 17th of April, a member of staff had not closed the shutter because he was restocking the alcohol store. Yes, that constitutes a breach of a very specific condition, but one that the committee quite rightly sought to impose upon the licence. In the year that the licence was in place, that is the only breach. There is no other issue here at play. No responsible authority has raised an objection. Not health and safety, not trading standards, and significantly not the police nor the licensing authority themselves, the individuals responsible for policing and oversight of the premises and the license. Not one of those responsible authorities has had any cause for concern. And as Ms. Dexter explained, there has not actually even been any complaints about the premises. There is some confusion, she stated, and some mention of concern, but no complaints for a premises that has had training with trading standards, that has sought to comply with a very onerous but wholly appropriate set of conditions, and would continue to do so should you grant the licence moving forward. Chair, thank you very much for your time this evening. That's all from me.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Now, the committee will now retire to take its decision in a separate room. You are welcome to remain in the meeting to hear committee's decision. However, this might take some time. If you do not want to wait, a summary decision will be published on Council's website tomorrow morning. Can I ask members to turn off their video, mute their phone, and join in the private Teams meeting? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh.
Hi, Bessie, did you get my message?
Yes, I did. He said you are leaving.
Someone's causing feedback.
Huh? Yeah, he said you are leaving, and I'm still. Why are you still here? Are you okay?
Bessie, you're not muted in the Zoom meeting.
Oh. Oh God. I better go. I'll come out and come back in. Charles, is everybody in?
The legal officer hasn't returned yet. And is Councillor Stanton coming back?
No, he's not. He's not. And I have to give his apologies.
I'm there.
The applicant hasn't rejoined yet either, Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Betty,
I'm actually here, but my video, for some reason, doesn't wish to show me.
okay.
I think your chair is still in the other meeting, so you might have to.
Me? Okay. Oh, okay. To Wesley, we are in.
I'm here, Chair. Thank you very much. And I shouldn't worry about Prabha. I think his daughter was giving him more trouble, but I'll call him and let him know of your decision once you've made it.
Okay, that's fine. Shana Local, 51 Fulham Broadway, London, SW61AE, the premises. The committee has considered an application for a new premises license for the sale of alcohol off premises under the Licensing Act 2003. The application, in summary, the committee has decided, after taking into account all the individual circumstances of this case and the promotion of 4 licensing objectives, to 1, grant the application as follows for a period of 1 year. The sale of retail of alcohol off the premises Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 23:00 hours. The opening hours of the premises are Monday to Sunday, 08 hours to 02:00 hours. The license is subject to any mandatory conditions. 4, the license is subject to condition proposed by applicant in the operating schedule as amended by committee. This license become operational with immediate effect. If problems are experienced, then an application for a review of the premises license can be made. A copy of this committee's full decision, including its reasons and full text of the condition added to the license, will be sent to the parties forthwith. If the applicant or any person who has made a relevant representation is unhappy with the decision, they are entitled to appeal to the magistrate court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision. Thank you so much for joining.
Chair, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Thank you. Okay.
Chair, just to remind you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Charles, I'm going to leave to find my next note. Okay. Okay. So I'll leave and get back in.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. Is that because there's no one speaking?
Can you hear me, Edward?
Oh, hello. Yes.
Okay. It's just that there was no one speaking. Thank you.
Norma, just so you're aware, Carol isn't on the call, by the way. Carol from Community Safety isn't there.
Well, if she's not on, Charles, she must be on annual leave, but she did confirm attendance.
Okay, I'm sorry, a bit late.
Right, Chair, as I say, you are live and you can start. Everyone that should be here is here. There's
Okay.
there's only one police representative on the call at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. Welcome to tonight's license subcommittee meeting. My name is Councillor Mercy Ume, and I'll be chairing tonight's meeting. The meeting is being broadcast live on Council's YouTube channel. If I lose connection, Councillor Wesley Hackett will take over for me. I would like to remind participants of a few housekeeping points. Please keep your microphone muted unless you are speaking. Please keep your camera turned on when you speak at the hearing. Please note that the chat function has been disabled. If parties wish to add any additional information other than their allocated time to speak, they must use raise hand function so that they are not missed. I will ask the members to keep their questions, comments brief to the point. Now I move to the agenda. Apologies for absence. Charles?
Apologies have been received from Councillor Stanton, Chair, so you can proceed as a quorum.
Thank you. Item 2, declaration of interest. Do members have any declaration of interest? Wesley, Councillor Wesley Hackett.
Thank you, Chair. It's not really a declaration of interest, but for the purpose of clarity and transparency, Tilly Collins, who's one of the objectors today, we were both on the board of governing body of Phoenix High School for a number of years, and it was a number of years ago. So,
item 3, Review Cafe, 290 to 294 Oxbridge Road, London, West 12, 7LJ. I would like to ask every participant to introduce yourself as I call on you, and I'll call your first name. We have Omar, the applicant. Omar, are you here? Omar? I can hear you. Omar?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank you. We have Lorna, licensing officer. You here?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. We have Emmanuel, the council's legal officer.
Present, Chair.
Yeah. And we have objecting the responsible authorities, which is Adrian, licensing team manager.
Present, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. We have PC Nicole.
Present, Chair.
Okay. Okay, that's Chris that is here, I suppose.
Yes, present, Chair. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Okay, and we have Kelly, PC Kelly, local neighborhood police officer.
Yes, present, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And we have Carol, community safety officer, North. Carol, are you here?
She's not here, Chair, no.
She's not here. Okay, we have residents. We have Wendelina.
Yeah, that's me, present.
Yeah,
hello.
we have, how are you? We have Philippa, a resident, but she's representing Virginia Ironside.
Yep. Hi.
Yeah. We have Telly Collins representing Emma Plunkett and Randall White.
Correct, yes.
Yes, okay. Procedure. Before we begin, I can confirm that in addition
Sorry to interrupt you, Chair. Carol's just sent me a message on Teams just saying that she's trying to join, but she's just having issues. So she's trying to join. But she said, is there a, yeah.
Okay,
just to let you know.
Okay, thank you. Before we proceed, I can confirm that in addition to the main agenda, supplementary agenda A containing additional information was published and and circulated to all parties on 20th of September 2024. Supplementary Agenda B was published on 23rd of September 2024. Before we consider the application today, please, may I quickly explain the procedure the committee will follow. We will hear from the following. The licensing officer will introduce the application, the responsible authority, the objectors, finally the applicant. Usually, each party will address the committee for a maximum of 5 minutes. Following the presentation by all parties, the committee may ask questions of any party or other person present at the hearing, except committee members. No party has the right to ask questions to any other party at any time during the hearing. Following the presentation and questioning, each party will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to sum up their case or representation. The committee will then retire for deliberation. Upon its return, I will announce committee's decision. Can I ask the licensing officer, Lorna, to introduce the application?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. On the 15th of April 2024, Mr. Emrullah Sonmez submitted an application on behalf of Mr. Omar Saeed, the applicant, for a new premises licence in respect of the premises known as Revive Cafe 290 to 294, Uxbridge Road, London, W12 7LJ. The applicant proposes to operate as a cafe/restaurant and had originally applied for the late night refreshment to cover the sale of provision of hot food and drink as outlined. The provision of late night refreshment indoors only, Mondays to Saturdays from the hours of 11 p.m. till 3 a.m. and Sundays between the hours of 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. The opening hours of the premises will be Mondays to Saturdays from 7 a.m. till 3 a.m. and Sundays from 7 a.m. till 1 a.m. The applicant has proposed several steps to promote the 4 licensing objectives, and on the 9th of May 2024, following correspondence with the Environmental Public Protection Team, the applicant agreed to amend the hours which they had applied for and add one further condition to the licence if it is minded to be granted this evening. The new proposed hours are the provision of late night refreshment, indoors only, Sundays to Thursdays from the hours of 11 p.m. till midnight, and Fridays and Saturdays from 11 p.m. till 1 a.m. And the condition to add is that the commercial kitchen extractor system shall not be used between the hours of 2300 to 0500 hours. During the consultation period, the licensing team received 11 representations objecting to the grant of the license. And in addition to the main agenda, supplementary agenda item A, which contained additional information, was published and circulated to all parties on the 20th of September 2024, and supplementary B, containing additional information, was published and circulated to all parties on the 23rd of September. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lorna. And now, can I ask the objector, that's the responsible authority, Adrian?
Thank you, Chair. Just by way of background, initially, the Licensing Authority has made a representation to this application solely on the basis of previous complaints of noise and antisocial behaviour emanating from the premises. There have been no issues with previous enforcement history at the venue. I think I should also point out that this business has in the past benefited from a premises licence, which allowed the sale of alcohol off the premises from 7 a.m. until midnight, Monday to Sunday. And this licence was surrendered in 2016. The complaints received by the council most recently have included issues with customer behaviour, parking, noise, littering and trading from vehicles whilst parked illegally. And I understand that the customers of the business mainly consists of local minicab drivers who take steps to avoid enforcement officers when they try to intervene. So this can be very challenging for those officers. We also understand that previously in June 2021, the police were called to this premises after multiple reports of fighting in the street, and apparently some of these people were using weapons. And it's understood by us, and I don't know, the police may be able to clarify this, that on that occasion a young person was very sadly stabbed during this incident as well, which is obviously very concerning for us and for everyone at the council. Taking into account the police and the community safety intelligence of crime and disorder in the locality of the premises, the residential nature of the surrounding area, and the previous issues with disturbances, we are currently proposing that the licensing committee refuse this application as it currently stands. We are aware that a reduction in hours has recently been agreed with the council's noise team, and whilst we think these hours are much more appropriate for the operation of the business, we still do not think that this will reduce the risk of the premises being used as a hub for antisocial behaviour and for noise disturbances in the future. And we would therefore just recommend that the licence is refused at this time. And nothing else to add at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to the PC Kerry, or which one, or Chris, which one is going to be speaking? One of you.
Good evening, Chair. It's PC Nicole Son speaking here from Police Licensing. It will be both myself and PC Kerry Tanner speaking this evening.
And you have 5 minutes.
Okay, that's sorry, can you see us on the camera? We're having a few issues with.
We cannot see you.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Are you happy for me to continue without it on? I don't know what. We're having a few issues trying to get it turned on at the moment. I don't know why it's not.
Okay, you can go on.
Oh, yeah. So the Metropolitan Police are objecting to this premises licence application in its entirety under the licensing objectives in the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance. The Metropolitan Police feel that if this licence is granted, it will only extend the issues that are currently ongoing within the local vicinity, and therefore continue to have a detrimental effect on the local residents. As with any premises licence application that we get during the consultation period, we speak with the local neighbourhood officers who obviously patrol those streets on a regular basis, daily basis, and deal with any issues that arise within that area. So if I pass you over to PC Kerry Tanner, she's part of the local SNT, she can sort of elaborate on those issues that the local vicinity are experiencing.
Yep, good evening, everybody. So as we've heard already, there is a lot of antisocial behaviour along the stretch of the Uxbridge Road. A lot of well-known to police individuals that hang around, given the opportunity with these kind of later licences, they'll be hanging around causing that antisocial behaviour, and all of the residents are up in arms at the moment. They're waking up to lots of drug dealing, drug taking, lots of people that are kind of defecating on their doorstep. So they are really kind of wanting the police to help. And obviously the pull on police at the moment, the resource isn't there for us. I am one of 2 officers that look after the whole of the White City area, and the Uxbridge Road we need people there full time, and actually the resource just isn't there for us to be there. So I would wholeheartedly recommend that this doesn't go ahead. We don't need any more kind of nuisance in the area, and no excuse for these people to be hanging around and doing all of these illegal activities.
Okay, thank you. Now we go to the. Is Carol here yet?
No, she's still having issues joining, Chair, but she said she just sent me a message just saying if she can't join, that everything she has submitted is also in a written representation, which I know you'll also consider. But she's trying to join from her phone. She's just having IT issues.
Okay, then we have a resident, Wendelina, to present her case. You have 5 minutes. We can't hear you.
You're muted.
Wendelina, you are muted. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Don't worry, I won't need 5 minutes. I am a resident in the local, in the street where the cafe is located. And I think it's very clear from what you've heard already this evening from the police about how serious antisocial behaviour and crime is in this area. It is really, really bad. There is constant drug dealing going on the street day and night, drug taking, people leaving needles around. The end of the street where the cafe is located is a traffic nightmare with people double parking, blocking the T junction. It's a very, very dangerous junction, and people stopping at the cafe, picking things up from the cafe. Just that whole bit is very dangerous. And the noise from the cafe, from people driving all hours, whatever time they're coming and going, and being noisy. It's just another thing for the local residents to be dealing with. That's it from me.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we have Philippa, you are going to be speaking on behalf of Virginia Ironside, so you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to get Virginia's notes up. So I'm speaking on behalf of Virginia. I'm also a resident on Loftus Road, and Virginia has been a resident for, gosh, many decades on the road, and has been instrumental in really building up the community in Loftus Road over many years, and liaising with the council as well over many years as well. So she's a really positive influence on our road. Her concerns are she lives close to where the Revive Cafe is, so she lives up at that end of the road. Her concerns are the extended hours are going to increase antisocial behaviour, and points out that antisocial behaviour is already a huge problem. Says we've had to get special CCTV installed, and the police have been called on many occasions. She points out that parking is already very dangerous, sadly unenforced, often at that end of the road. As Gwendolyn has mentioned, there's double parking an awful lot. As somebody who cycles and walks a lot, it is a dangerous junction to cycle and walk through because it is pretty chaotic with the traffic there. There's also constant idling, cars, taxis, motorbikes, often drivers not even sitting inside the cars or the taxis that are idling. And quite often you'll have drivers who are sitting on motorbikes, scrolling through their phones while the motorbikes are idling, which is just ridiculous. There's open drug dealing outside the cafe that goes on pretty constantly. She says that extra opening hours will only increase all these problems, with young men gathering and drinking and drugging and smoking into the night. Her concern is that they loiter in the darker pavement spaces, they shoot up in our basement areas, and they cause us and our children to be frightened. She also says that the size of these groups of young men are intimidating to many. Many of them are polite, and that's also my personal experience. But some do accost residents, some threaten children, some try to pick up women, and especially young women, and that's just totally unacceptable and is really frightening for them. And also she points out that the extractor fans from Hyber, part of the Revive Cafe and connected to it, are noisy, and they also exude cooking smells all day, and says that's detrimental to a pleasant environment and atmosphere on the road, that the smells seep from the garden into the house during the day at night, particularly in the summer months when windows and doors are open. She points out that this has until recently been a peaceful residential street, and that the last year or so it's becoming as noisy and as threatening as Uxbridge Road itself, more so because it's off the main drag and less well lit. So she's begging you to please, on behalf of residents on Loftus Road, refuse this planning application for extended hours. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Can we have Tilly? And you are speaking on behalf of Emma and Randall. So you have 10 minutes.
Oh, and if I add myself, that would be 15.
No, you are not.
I
you
will
are
not.
ready.
I will not add that.
Yeah.
I would like to echo everything that Philippa has said. We have a real problem on the street at the moment, and it's really very difficult. And it's not just down to the Revive Cafe. You know, the Revive Cafe isn't the problem per se, but it facilitates the problem in that it provides a venue for people to aggregate around. So I've paid careful attention to the presentation that has been submitted for the next item. And I see that, yes, there is an attempt to engage, but they are still serving the people who are double parking. They are still serving the people who lurk in the darker patches. Very, very recently, one of my daughters, who is 21 and a reasonably robust woman, having been raised round here, was walking home from the bus stop at night, and a group of men coming out of the cafe commented on her nipples. And, you know, she responded quite robustly and said, "What? You know, that's totally inappropriate." And they were mildly embarrassed, but that's what they said. So we have a real difficulty. The fans at the back smell, the rubbish is constant. Just putting up a sign saying "don't litter" really doesn't cut the mustard here. People are dropping bottles in which they urinate in the street, so they'll drink their water, pee in it, drop it on the street. We've got people defecating in the area, and we need a broad and robust response from the council and from the police, whom I understand to be underfunded and who I understand to be under-resourced. But in allowing late licenses for premises such as this facilitates the problems that we have. They continue to serve people who double park. They continue to serve people who are behaving in an antisocial manner on the street when they pop in there, because when they go in there are customers. The smell, you know, Philippa has just mentioned the smell from the fans. The smell from the fans permeates down the back gardens. It may not affect the street, but it affects the people at that end of the street quite powerfully. You know, well, maybe when we get to winter, it'll be closed. But the idea of those smells wafting out through, I don't know if they have appropriate fan control, but we've got a problem in the street. We're not particularly opposed to Revive, but we are firmly opposed to later licensing that facilitates these problems going on into the night. We're very lucky to be a good community around here, and we welcome the diversity of the community. We have no issue with that. We have an issue with the lack of control on our street, the increasing lawlessness, the issues that our children are having walking backwards and forwards from school. People go down to the bus stop to fetch their kids because the groups of men loitering are so intimidating. So in addition to supporting everything that Emma has presented, Emma and Randall have presented in their written submission, including a number of photographs of the outdoors of the premises, we object to later licensing, which makes it even harder for us to retain any element of control over what is a mixed residential street full of children. And the children are now getting scared. And this isn't okay. So firmly objecting to this.
Okay, thank you, Tila. And now we have the applicant, Omar. And Omar, I'm going to be allowing you 30 minutes to present your case. Is that okay?
Yes. Yes, Councillor. So, Councillor, can everybody hear me?
We can.
Okay, before my presentation, can I make a statement?
That's part of your...
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Omar Saeed. I'm the proud owner of Revive Cafe. Since January 2023, Revive Cafe has been a beloved part of the community for over 10 years, located in 290-294 Oxbridge Road. We are open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. till 11 p.m., serving a variety of breakfast options, sandwiches, pastry treats, light refreshments, including soft drinks, tea, coffees, and whether you are stopping in for quick bite or looking for leisurely coffee, we offer a welcoming atmosphere for all. Just clarification of the operating hours. I want to make it clear that my request for later opening hours until 3 a.m. was following a poor advice given to me, and I regret applying for such a license. I wish to apply for extension of 1 hour from Sunday to Thursday to close at midnight, and 2 hours for Friday and Saturday to close at 1 a.m. The amendment to the licensing hours were agreed following advice from the Council and the Licensing Public Protection Team. Took place a proposed licensing hours for Revive Cafe to close at midnight, Sunday to Thursday, and close at 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday. I want to make it clear that I am applying for extension to my operating hours by only 1 hour and 2 hours Friday and Saturday. This is not a significant difference in the existing operating hours of Revive Cafe and other form of businesses within the immediate vicinity of the cafe. And I want to state that the kitchen plants and equipment will be shut down as usual time of 11 p.m. and that only light refreshments such as traditional Somali snacks such as biscuits, sweets, and pastries will be served and pre-prepared during the operating hours of the kitchen. The drinks that we will be serving will be traditional teas and coffees, which will not create excess noise when preparing. Again, we are requesting for amendment to the licensing for late opening hours to serve the light refreshments such as tea, coffee, and by 1 hour for Sunday to Thursday and close at midnight, and 2 hours Friday and Saturdays to close at 1 a.m. Our customers and staff, my main customers are both men and women who come to the restaurant cafe during the day and weekends. My cafe serves light refreshments in the evenings for people who return from mosques in the evening, summertime evenings, and during the holy month of Ramadan. The latest prayer is held no later than 10:30 in the summer times. However, during Ramadan, which recently moved towards around early spring, latest will be around 11. We have in the past been granted a temporary license in the during Ramadan or to serve refreshment during Ramadan. I have been in a taxi business for over 30 years, and I understand that there are no Somali business opening past 11 that can serve my community who work late hours in either black cab, Uber, home cares, security, hospitals, which operate 24 hours. On Oxbridge Road, there are only takeaway shops and bars, such as Chicken Cottage, Sammy's, Bush Hall, Food and Fire, which mainly open until 2. The takeaways have delivery services such as Uber Eats and Revive does not for customers. My staff is made up of both men and women who work there to make living for themselves and for their family. My longest serving employee is a female, and my cafe is inclusive, open to all people, different background, sex, and religion. A couple of the objections that I have received, I have since 2023 expressed my concern numerous times about the antisocial behavior that occurs Loftus Road. I have contacted the police and the traffic enforcement officers on numerous occasions. I have taken action to deter antisocial behavior by setting up live CCTV cameras and refurbing the back of the cafe to prevent people using the alleyway way of criminal activities. I have tried to make a living and to ensure my cafe stays open in this economic time. It is worth noting that predominantly customers of Revive are from the Somali elderly community, where they find themselves a friendly and sociable and have affordable environment. The establishment is indispensable center for the community, who they rely on emotional and mental support, which aims to improve a social cohesion and integration. The parking issue in the Loftus Road. Parking is the parking area in this area is a restricted area until 9 p.m. Yet delivery drivers, Uber drivers, frequently park directly in front of the cafe. Due to a presence of double yellow lines, they have no legal right to park there. I constantly have to ask them to move. Enforcement officers rarely patrol the area, and I don't have the time to keep asking, or sometimes even risk my own life to stop parking there. Motorcycles or bikes, since Oxbridge Road has no space to stop due to the bike lanes and barriers introduced during the COVID period, many drivers choose to wait in front of Revive Cafe Loftus Road. This area essentially becomes a waiting spot for delivery drivers who often linger and engage in loud conversations and block the walkway, causing inconvenience for both pedestrian and my business. Meanwhile, Loftus Road, which is closer to many takeaway outlets, remains more appropriate place for them to park. I am more than happy to work with the council police enforcement officer to continue operating my business to reduce antisocial in the area. However, I want to make it clear, if Revive were to relocate or close down, the antisocial behavior will it still be present if action is not taken by the respective authorities. No crime report have been recorded relating to Revive. Revive Cafe is not the problem. Lack of patrol and deterrence and enforcement in the area will be the problem. And thank you for listening, but I also wanted to go through the presentation.
Which presentation?
Lorna?
Are you wanting to present the presentation?
Yes, please.
Emmanuel, is that something that's allowed?
Hang on. Did you put this presentation? Did you send this presentation to us?
Yeah, it went as a supplementary yesterday, Chair.
Okay. Emmanuel?
Wait, has this been submitted as a supplementary already? Is this published?
Yeah, it was submitted yesterday.
Was it published?
It was published yesterday and circulated.
Okay, so yeah, I don't see any reason why he can't.
Yes, we have had the opportunity to read this already. It came with the information with which we were provided earlier.
Okay, so yeah, I think he can go through it.
Is it something that I need to share, or is it something you can just talk through and can refer people to the agenda?
Yeah, can you talk through it, or do you need it to be shared? Can you talk through it and point to make any reference?
Sorry, Chair, just for clarity, it would be easier if the applicant just talked through the presentation as the committee were actually sent the presentation yesterday.
Okay. Omar, can you tell us about it instead of doing the presentation? Can you do that? Omar, can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you, Councillor. But it has some visuals as well in the presentation. So it is pretty much what I've said in my statement, but it just clarifies. It's got some evidence where I have made contacts with the local authority, the police, regarding the antisocial behavior. It shows that, and things that I have taken, which is within my power, what I could do.
Okay.
Other than become a police officer on the road.
Okay. Committee member, I think we've seen that. Councillor Wesley Hackett, you saw that presentation where he sent the dates.
Yeah, the presentation came around. I was just trying to relocate it. The difficulty of trying to see things on 2 or more different screens, unfortunately.
I know. Okay. Tilly, yes.
The presentation is there in the supplementary information that was provided to us. I can share it if you would like me to, but it is essentially what Mr. Saeed has just presented. It follows that sequence. It provides some evidence of texts and information that he sent. But the point that I made earlier is that while he may be sending,
okay, I have to stop you. So I have to stop you there. So, is this his presentation? And I have seen it. Councillor Hackett, have you seen it?
Yes, I have seen it, but it may just be easier rather than going through a discussion here just to get on with it and see it again. A somewhat pragmatic approach, I'm afraid.
Chair, I would say if he has any, because all the relevant parties have seen it, unless he has any kind of pertinent points that he wants to raise in relation to the representation, the supplementary will be taken into consideration when the decision is being made. So if he has any other comments he wants to make during his time, then I suggest he makes it. And if he wants to point the committee to any relevant points in the representation, then he can. And that would be taken into consideration when the decision is being made.
Okay. Omar, we have seen all this. I don't think it's good for us to go through it. And I appreciate you trying to show it again.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
unless you have any relevant points you want to make in relation to the representation.
No, Councillor, no.
Okay. And in that case, Omar, thank you for your presentation. Now we have to go into committee questions. Can I ask each committee member to ask question on any party about application and issues that has been raised at this hearing in relation to four licensing objectives: the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, prevention of children and from harm, protection of children from harm. So, committee member, do you have a question?
Yeah, I suppose the key question to me is, and we've heard from various people, there's no objection to the actual restaurant per se. It's actually the issues around it, the antisocial behaviour. So what I really want to know is what percentage or what numbers of the people who are causing this ASB, the drug dealing and so on, are actually customers of Revive. I know it's going to be difficult to give me a precise answer, but it'd be useful to know whether they're anything to do with, if you're going to turn around and say that.
Until you cannot answer any of this question. Who is this question to?
I would ask that to the police. I would ask that to the applicant as well.
Okay.
Hi there. Yeah, the ward officer for White City. So I patrol regularly, and it's very, very difficult to say whether these are customers, as you can imagine. the area is saturated with the types of people that are dealing drugs, causing antisocial behaviour. And as you've said, it's not a specific Revive issue. It is a location issue. I've worked with the Designing Out Crime team, with TfL. We're doing so much work within the community. We had ward panel meetings with the councillors. The residents are just dealing with these horrible issues day in, day out, thinking of taking their kids to school, taking them home. We've heard a lot about it today, but I can see it firsthand. And once I deal with a certain subject that's causing criminal activity or antisocial behaviour, I then have to take them back to the station and do a serious amount of work with that one suspect. It's a huge drain on police resources. And we are working so hard to restore the faith within the community as the Met Police. And again, I just ask you please to consider this. And yeah, as I say, it's a location issue.
Okay, and Omar, you're on mute.
Like the police officer said, there's nothing to do with the Revive. Like I said, I'm more than happy to, if there's ever committed within my vicinity where I can see, I have a cameras every corner of the road. If there's evidence ever required, or if there's a customer of mine that comes to have done something on the road that has come in, as long as I'm more than happy to keep any CCTV over 72 hours of any incidents to provide that. I mean, I can only do so much. I cannot be enforcement officers on the road. I done the best of my ability to make sure, even to be honest with you, there's the percentage of my customers under the age of 15 is very remote. I do not sell alcohol. There's no alcohol involved here. Due to my religion, I don't even, to be honest with you, most of if I ever even see a drunken clientele coming in, I will ask them to leave.
Okay, what action have you actually taken with those people who have come into your premises and then go and sit outside and talk and make a noise and so on? Have you approached them? Have you done anything or notices to ask them to not do that?
I mean, Philippa even gave me leaflets for £80 fine if you leave your engine running. I've stick it out. I've seen it being removed. What I can do, what is my power? I've took a bins to even at least eliminates basic things. I put 2 bins outside my door in case if somebody drops or somebody's on the floor, at least there are decent people who will pick up and put it in if there's a bin nearby, since there's not a public bins on the main road. If I speak to them, some people will take the answer and will do the decent thing, turn off their engine if I ask them, or please, can you not double park? They will do that. But there are some of you tell me, who are you? Are you the enforcement officer? Are you the traffic wardens? So, and half of them are waiting for them to grab a delivery. They're there 1 minute, second minute they're gone. It's on and off. One goes, one comes in. How can I? Of course, maybe some of them, I'm not going to say all of them are not my clients. Some of them might come in to buy a coffee. But what power do I have? Where is my power? What can I do? Somebody who's riding a bike, who parks on a double yellow line. Yes, those who I know, I'll tell them, please, can you just park it on a parking bay? I can ask that. But there are people who, some of them will be even towards violence against me.
Do you do home deliveries or deliveries?
No.
So it's eating on the premises only? Or to take away coffees and teas?
Yes, yes. Take away, yes, yeah.
Okay. So if
predominantly the clientele that come in there tend to be.
Yeah. So if people are taking away teas and coffees and leaving the empty cartons in the street, do you or any of your staff ever go around and help and clear some of it up, especially the ones that you can identify as, mess that's come from your?
Like I said, our carbs are identifiable. If every time I come outside, I make sure there's nothing on the floor. There's a bin. I put 2 bins up there so I can put them in there. I put signposted telling people, please do not litter. Forget, not even top of that. Sometimes the council do Mrs. Day collection for days. Outside my doorstep is a collection for flats above us, who put their bins on a certain days, and it's not collected. It builds up. I take it on myself and put it in on my own skip yards, because otherwise, if it reaches there for 2 weeks, it's already folding up. Sometimes I even have to call the council.
Okay, I think that's as much as I need to ask at the moment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think you have asked most of my questions anyway. And PC, Chris, you said, will closing this cafe, will it solve the problem of antisocial behavior in Shepherd's Bush?
Hi, Chair, it's Nicole speaking here.
Okay, yeah, you tell us, Nicole.
What we wanted to say is that we don't feel there is any issue with Revive Cafe. I think that's sort of been reiterated a lot in people speaking, but we feel that an extension of the hours is only going to extend the antisocial behaviour that's being experienced at the moment. So there's antisocial behaviour occurring within the location, within the immediate vicinity. And if you are extending the hours of a premises that will enable those people to buy hot food, hot drink, it's only going to extend that antisocial behaviour and potentially encourage others from further up Uxbridge Road to then loiter outside as well. So contributing again to antisocial behaviour.
You answered my question. Thank you. Omar, in terms of people coming into your cafe or people parking and the double line, how do you approach them? I know that's not your job, really.
So can I clarify, number one, the people who are double parking is not only for my cafe. I don't know how everyone, I'm sure the residents do know the vicinity of the area. There's a large mosque on Uxbridge Road, just on the corner of my place. It tend to be, during those times, it tend to be at prayer times. Drivers we're trying to make to the Salah or the prayer times. So it seems to be everybody's assuming that everybody that double parks is a Revive Cafe. I wish I had that number of clientele that was coming in, but it is not the case. It is not. 80% of the people who double park is somebody running to the mosque, or either someone who's picking up a delivery. The Uber Eats and delivery are not only bikes nowadays. There are people who do by car. Yes, there are people who I can approach, and there's a certain characters which I don't feel I need to approach.
Omar, residents mentioned about the smell coming up from the from your cafe. So, what are you doing about that? What have you?
As I said, during those hours, my ventilating system goes off at 11 p.m. So during those operating hours is nothing to do with it. Even I had a visit recently, one of the licensing officers who saw my ventilators were off at 11.
Our officer, the ventilation he's talking about, is it new or is he making noise? Have we checked his this to make sure the smell coming out of it is not that bad for the residents? Lorna or Edwin?
Chair, I don't know if that's been checked. We can have a look into that for you and get back to you, but I'm not sure if that's been checked. Unfortunately, there's no one here from Environmental Health to confirm that at this stage, but we could certainly look into it and get back to you.
Okay, that would be great. Residents mentions about the cafe next to you, Habiba. Is it part of your Revolve? Is it part of you?
Yes. Hello?
So, hello. So that's
Yeah, can
part
you
of.
hear me? So, Councillor, what was the question?
My question is, there's a cafe next to you, the residents are referring, is a part of
Yes.
you. So it's called,
Yes.
it has
Yeah, we
another
do.
name.
Yeah, that's correct. Basically, at the back of Revive, there's a small restaurant, yes, which has a Somali cuisine, which closes at 11.
Officer, are we aware of this? Is it supposed to be there?
Sorry, Chair, was that a question?
Yeah, the question is, because we are talking about Revolve and cafe, and then there's a Habeba cafe restaurant next to it.
Yeah.
And Omar is telling us now it's part of his cafe.
Okay.
So
The next door is part of his cafe.
yeah.
Okay, all right. We can have a look into that as well. I'll ask Lorna to have a look into that because obviously I'm acting as the responsible authority today. But yeah, we can definitely check that for you and come back to you.
So, Chair, are you wanting to clarify that the restaurant next to it?
The questions goes only to committee members, Tilly, and
no, Chair. I'm just asking to clarify to look for you. So, are you asking that the restaurant that's next to it has that got a license?
That's correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Give me a moment. I'll have a look into it.
Okay. Any other question? Do you have any question? Yes, Councillor.
Thank you. There. Sorry, screen went weird then. Just a quick question to Omar. The hours extension, I mean, is this something that is essential for your business, or is it something that really is needed for special occasions like during Ramadan when people come out, at the end of the day to break the fast and obviously want an evening meal and so on? You've had tens in the past, temporary event notices to cope with that. Is that really what you need rather than something every day?
No, it's not temp. I mean, like I said, if I needed the temp, I would apply for it. But I feel is essential because as a cab driver myself, if I don't want to eat fast food takeaway or I want something traditional for my community, the closest in Hammersmith and Fulham I can come to, it is this area. So I thought I can facilitate or offer that service.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. While we are waiting for Lorna, maybe we have summing up. Can we have the licensing officer to sum up 3 minutes?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a great deal to add, and all I would say is that from my experience of the complaints that I've received and reading them, I do agree with Omar that the vast majority of customers are not responsible for the antisocial behaviour from what I've read, but I couldn't say for certain that 100% of those customers are not responsible, and I do think that some of those customers, and I think it'd be very difficult for him to say that he's in full control of people when they leave his premises and he knows exactly what they're doing when they go around the corner. And I think there was an example given by Mrs. Collins earlier on of her daughter coming out of the coming out of the premises, or customers coming out of the premises. I can't remember which way around it was, and then being spoken to. So I think that really is the evidence that there is a direct link between the premises and between antisocial behaviour, or in that occasion criminal behaviour for the comment. But so I think that by extending the hours, it's only going to exacerbate the problem, as the police have mentioned earlier on. You've got a problem at the moment, and just by having those later hours, it can only get worse. It's not going to improve. And I think if the premises was in a different location, we wouldn't, be objecting to this license. But it doesn't help that there's congregations of people outside. So the only thing I would say is, if you were minded to grant a license this evening, we would ask that it's time limited, so that can be looked at carefully, And as you know, otherwise with licenses, they last indefinitely. So I think that would be more of a reassurance to residents if it was a time limited license. But nothing else from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. Now, can I ask PC, Kelly, Chris to sum up 3 minutes, please? Okay, 1 minute, 1 minute. Lorna, yes? Lorna, your hand is up.
Sorry, Chair, just to answer your questions. The restaurant that's been referred to doesn't have the premises licence and it's not attached to the plan submitted with Revive, so I'm presuming it's a separate business. Even if Omar may be part of it, it's a separate business entirely from Revive. It wouldn't have a premises licence if it's not serving alcohol or any hot food after 11 p.m. So it wouldn't need a license. So I can't clarify whether it can be there or not in terms of planning, but it wouldn't, under the license, that wouldn't require a license. And I've just checked the records in terms of has there been any environmental health complaints for the premises, and there hasn't been any in terms of to do with smell.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. We have Chris, PC. Chris, we have 3 minutes to sum up.
Okay. Hi, Chair. So just to reiterate, we have sort of nothing further to add. So it's just to reiterate what we've said before. We do feel that, or the Metropolitan Police feel that if this licence was granted, it would have a detrimental effect on crime and disorder in the area. Extending the ASB that's currently occurring into the early hours of the morning, and having that continued detrimental effect on the residents of Loftus Road. I know it was briefly mentioned that there are premises within Shepherd's Bush that do operate beyond 11 o'clock, but again within that vicinity there are most of the premises are closing at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we feel that if this premises was granted a license beyond 11, it would set that precedent and create that domino effect of further applications coming in, and then we're looking at a bigger problem with more premises open and facilitating those people to loiter, commit antisocial behaviour. And as stated throughout our sort of presentation today, our concerns aren't with Revive Cafe as a business itself. It is purely the location at the moment and the issues that we're experiencing in that location. If the licence was granted, we do absolutely feel that it would extend the premises' ability to facilitate the ASB. And so we are asking that you do not grant this license today.
Thank you, PC. Now we go to residents. Gwendolina, you have 3 minutes to sum up.
Thank you. I have nothing to add. I think it's all been covered.
Okay. Okay. Philippa, you have 3 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. I think what I want to clarify is that actually, as part of Virginia Ironside's statement, there was a direct reference to the restaurant, to Hyber Restaurant, about the smell from the extractor fan, and that goes into her home day and night, particularly in the summer months. So I just really wanted to clarify that, because I think that was kind of not referenced when the officer said that there had been no sort of environmental complaints. I think she's actually complained a number of times to the council specifically about that.
Okay. Emmanuel?
I think that's more for Lorna to comment on.
I'll have another check, Chair, but also we are considering an application for Revive and not an application for Hyber Restaurant, so we have to take each application on its own merit. But I'll have a look in returns to Hyber.
Okay.
I think the point is, because again, actually, I do want to underline that I think we understand that this is a complex issue. And that in terms of kind of Revive as a business, that's not what's creating the ASB. We can see the ASB outside. I think we understand that, but the two are connected, Hyber and Revive. And Hyber kind of appeared a few years ago, and the smells did as well. And I know that Virginia has gone to the council a number of times about that. So I appreciate that, we might say that the two aren't connected, but they are connected. And that is, part of the issue as well, because people are going and eating at night and all the rest. So if there's an extension to the license, we're just continuing all of that behavior. Sorry, that sounds a bit clunky and clumsy.
Thank you, Philippa. I understand where you're going. I do feel what you're feeling, but the thing now is we are not talking about that. Why I connected that is because I'm kind of confused which one we're talking about. So for now, the officer is saying is about Revive. So we stick with that. We have to come back. Yeah.
Can I just clarify, were the complaints specifically about Habiba or about Revive or about both? I wasn't.
No, her complaints were about both, and I think that yes, absolutely about both, and about the concerns, as I think everybody's outlined, that there's the double parking, there's the antisocial behaviour, it attracts antisocial behaviour. It is a challenging part of Shepherd's Bush, and I think we recognise that. But the two are connected, and and people perhaps do want to come to the restaurant after prayers at the mosque, and so I mean the two businesses are linked. I think Omar's been pretty clear about that. But yes, I mean, Virginia, my representation for Virginia Ironside is over both. And I think she's been very clear in that in her statement.
Philip, I have to stop you. You are 3 minutes has been over. And Lorna, can we hear from you?
I've checked her and I can't find any complaints, but again, might not have full access to the environmental protection records. So there may be some that I can't see, but from what I can see on the records, I can't see any recent complaints about either premises to the environmental protection team.
Okay, thank you. Now we have to go to Tilly, and you're speaking on behalf of Emma and Randall. So you have 6 minutes.
Thank you. Just echoing that, Hyber is operating from the basement and the back alley of Revive. They are really one business. They may have two names, but they are one business and they are operating as one. They are a united thing. So whilst we are trying to distinguish between the two, that's a false distinction because they are a single business effectively. One is part of the other and the other is part of one. I appreciate that there are times in the day when the customers at Revive are largely mature gentlemen who are part of the Somali community and find it a convivial place to be. But the argument that these are the people for whom you need to stay open late doesn't work. They are not there later in the evening. It is a much younger crowd. It's a much more lippy crowd, and they are the ones who cause us the problems. Mr. Said is selling them off-premises drinks. They come in, they buy things, they go outside. They then aggregate further up the street and use the premises as a hostelry in that way. So it's not the people who are sitting in there who are necessarily problematic. It's the people who are outside and further up the street and who lurk behind the trees in the dark spaces and cause us problems. And those people attract others. They attract a commerce in the area. So I echo the points that the police have made, that whilst it's not a specific thing associated with Revive, Revive facilitates it extensively because it provides off sales to drivers. I think Uber drivers are desperately underserved. I think the people who drive for cafes or for cabs are desperately underserved. And the council really needs to think about where they could place a cafe that would suit them, that has adequate parking, that provides the facilities that they need, that provides the lavatories that they need. That place is not the corner of Loftus and Uxbridge, where you have a largely residential community who are frightened often by the disruption that is provided by these people aggregating in the street, especially on a hot night. It makes it very, very difficult for us to walk up and down the street. You have to edge through. So it really, in summary, I have not got a problem with the daytime clientele of Revive. They're great, they're friendly, they're lovely, but the nighttime clientele of Revive largely eat and drink outside. They sit in their cars, they have their engines running. He serves them if they've double parked. He serves them if the motorcycles are stacked up round the corner, making it almost impossible for people to drive around the corner. So whilst he may report them sometimes, he is still serving these people, and that serves as an attractant. That brings them in because there is somewhere that will serve them despite bad behaviour. And that is what I find problematic, and that is what all the way up the street we find problematic, that Emma finds problematic, that Randall finds problematic. We have litter, we have disruption, we have an intimidation, and it is facilitated by having somewhere that serves food and serves off-sales drinks and snacks late into the night. Please, please, please do not extend this even later for us.
Thank you, Telly. Omar, you have 15 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Councillor. I mean, the antisocial behavior that all the residents, I have the same issue. All the things that they have complained, I wish I could do something about it to disappear. What is it within my power is anybody that comes in antisocial behavior within my premises, I will immediately ask them to leave or not serve them. People double parking, whether I'm close or not, they're gonna be there. Delivery drivers are late, sometimes are late in the evening when I close. There's not power, it's double yellow line. I can clearly see that. If a traffic warden arrives, they will disappear because it's an instant ticket. So I even feel we get to a point where Revive being there is a deterrent to some of this antisocial behavior. At least there's enough eyes or witnesses around for anyone to be stupid or do anything. Of course, people could do beyond, they might not care, but I feel that as a number of people are around inside Revive, might have even deterrent certain things to take place. However, I don't know where I can serve a coffee and somebody's going to be until this. I don't think anybody who's drunk enough to buy a coffee will do antisocial behavior. Majority of the people that come in there, as I said before, I would not serve anyone who I feel is drunk. I've made that clear to all my staff, or even in my promises. Well, I won't even allow them to sit down. I'll ask them, please, can you leave? Let alone somebody who I can see that did something outside. And I said to the neighbor said that we felt threatening. Please, anytime they feel within that corner, I have CCTV access, whether it's on Oxbridge roadside or Loftus roadside. If any of the residents or their children have an incident, please come to me. I'll be more than happy to provide a CCTV evidence if it catched. I'm not the only food based business in that corner. There's a business much bigger than me on the other side of the road, much bigger. Nando's next to it. Customers in the neighbor. I mean, my extractors go far higher than that. However, as I said, made it clear at the beginning, it closes at 11 within the allowed licensing time, my trading time. So it's not a promise that I don't sell alcohol, so I'm not required to have any license. Revive, I wanted to just during this time, at least I can raise a couple hundreds. I'm not even expecting to be a multi-millionaire out of it, but at least I expect to cover some of the wages of the people. Those 3 hours I get at a week, I mean, that I can get, those couple hours I can get. And I will, like as neighbors, I've spoken to some of them individually. Please, if you have a concern, come to me. Let's see what we can do together. But people double parking, my power is strength. I wish I can employ my own traffic wardens to give people a ticket, but I can't.
Okay. Yeah. Are you finished?
I finished.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the committee will now retire and take its decision in a separate room. You are welcome to remain in the meeting to hear the committee's decision. However, this might take some time. If you do not want to wait, a summary decision will be published on Council's website tomorrow morning. Can I ask members to turn off their video, mute their phone, and join me in the private team meeting for deliberation? Okay. Charles, is everybody here? Charles? Yeah. Okay.
The applicant hasn't joined yet, and none of the residents are back yet either.
I'm here. I'm a resident, Philippa.
Okay. Okay. I think most people are here, so
we do need the applicant though.
We do. Okay. If he doesn't come, we can send him the message.
True.
Lorna, can you give the applicant a call, because he's off off the call at the moment, please?
I've called and he's not answered, and I've sent a message, so the decision will be available online. I don't know if Manuel, you can confirm if we can go on.
Exactly. That's my thought as well. Okay, summary decision of the license subcommittee. Reveal Cafe, 290 to 294 Oxbridge Road, London, W12 7LI. The committee has considered an application for a new premises license for late night refreshment under the Licensing Act 2003. In summary, the committee has decided, after taking into account all the individual circumstances of this case and the promotion of 4 licensing objectives, to 1, reject the whole application. The copy of this committee's full decision, including its reason, will be sent to the parties forthwith. If the applicant or any person who has made a relevant representation is unhappy with the decision, they are entitled to appeal to the magistrate court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision. On that note, I say thank you for all of you that are taking part, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Chair.